Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. I am your host. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. We're happy to have you. We hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We got a great show lined up. We got Steve Merril coming on. He's going to take a deep dive into the Monday Night Football game. Green Bay minus 14 playing New Orleans. The over and under in this game is 42.5. Ralph Michaels, after that, he's going to do a CFP playoff look ahead. He's going to take apart the Idaho Potato Bowl as well. He's going to give us a bet on the Celtics versus the Magic. Jesse Schule coming on. He's going to talk about how to reverse sear a steak, and he's got prop bets for us on Monday Night Football. We're going to end the show like we do every day with Gianni The Greek and his Steam report. Before we get into any of that, I want to give you guys an NFL bet. I like the Green Bay Packers team total to go over 27 points tonight. They are playing New Orleans, and right off the bat, I just want to say Green Bay has scored 30 points, 31, 30, and 38 in their last four games. So in their last four games, they have covered 27 points. They were against Seattle, Detroit, Miami, and San Francisco. Now, what I love most about this is not only has Green Bay already shown us that they can score points going over 27 four games in a row, but now they're playing a team that is going to hold the ball for a very short period of time. When push comes to shove, Green Bay will get likely 2 extra possessions in this game than they did against, for instance, Seattle, Detroit, San Fran, or even Miami. So not only has Green Bay demonstrated they can go over this number, but I think they're going to get more possessions to do it in this game. So take Green Bay Packers over the total of 27. Steve Merril, what do you think about this football game?
I did a free play standalone video a couple days ago for this Monday night game here on WagerTalk TV, and I thought it was a dangerous spot for Green Bay, kind of like it was for Buffalo yesterday. I actually had a client best bet on the Patriots, part of a perfect 3-0 sweep yesterday in the NFL. It is similar to that. Green Bay coming off a big Sunday night win against Seattle, bigger games on deck. So you worry about the flat spot, but then again, do we really trust the Saints? They've got a backup quarterback on the road, Rattler, rookie quarterback, a lot of uncertainty. So in my standalone video, I ended up coming up with a unique way to play this game, and that is Packers team total over 27.5 points.
No way!
That's what I was going to talk about in today's show. What else do you want to talk about, Prez? We got about 10 more minutes to kill.
So in all seriousness, Steve, we didn't discuss. I had no idea. And so I like the over in that game, and you like the over in that game. But in regards to the side, so we saw New England yesterday coming in as plus 14. Same type of a situation here. And I also felt it was a bad spot for Buffalo. And I agree with you. I think it is a tough spot for New Orleans. But there is a huge difference between this New England team and the Saints team. And I think Drake May is for real, and I think Spencer Rattler is not. So I think people need to be careful out there saying, oh, well, we saw a plus 14 cover yesterday. It's going to cover today. Man, I don't know. How many points do you think New Orleans is capable of putting up in this game?
Well, obviously, if we're playing team total over, we're probably leaning the game over. So I wouldn't disagree with the over 43.5. And the Saints team total is 13.5, which is a very intriguing number because obviously 14 is very doable. But there again, there's so much uncertainty with Rattler. You're exactly right. Drake May has had a much better season. That is one of the reasons I trusted the Patriots yesterday. He'd only had one interception in each of his last 5 games. So he hadn't been turning the ball over a lot, which is something you have to be very concerned about with a young quarterback, cold conditions, spotlight TV game against a better team. So, yeah, that's why I got to the team total Packers over instead of the game, because let's just take the Saints out of the equation. And the 27.5 is juiced over minus 130, but the juice is worth it. You do not want 28. You do not want 28.5 here because that is a very key number. And it's interesting, Prez, the 2 most public plays of the week were Detroit and Buffalo. I stayed off the Bears game because I wasn't going to fade the Lions off a loss. Plus, I don't like Chicago. They're just awful. The Buffalo situation was so different. They were coming off the Kansas City and San Francisco home wins, the high-scoring shootouts at L.A., and then against Detroit last week. It was just a huge flat spot. And while this doesn't look like a great spot for Green Bay, they did lose the game prior to Detroit. They've also been routing bad teams this season. And what's interesting is this game did not make the public list. Public was all over Buffalo, but they're kind of, not I want to say neutral. They're leaning Green Bay, but it didn't even make my top 6 most public sides. So I do feel like people are a little bit more on the Saints in this one. And also reading some of the comments in my solo video this morning, they said, well, New England covered yesterday. It looks like the same spot for Green Bay. So I do get the feeling that maybe Green Bay's not that public tonight, which is another reason I don't really want much to do with the Saints.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. And guys, Steve, dude, it's like every time you come on here, you're killing it. A 12-0 run on NFL Sundays. So in your last 3 Sundays, you went 4-0 all 3 times. That is outstanding. Congratulations.
No. They're gonna start hating on you for misinformation. No, so here's how it went. Actually, it's actually 11-0 NFL Sunday, 1 NBA best bet, but we had a best bet winner Saturday with the over in the Ravens game. So Prez, technically the last 3 weekends, I'm 12-0 in the NFL, but the last 3 Sundays with all sports, 6-0, 3-0, 3-0 yesterday. And oh, by the way, this past Saturday, 5-1 in basketball and college and pro basketball and football. So 8-1 weekend. 12-0 the last 3 Sundays. I mean, the bottom line is it's all symmetric, right? We take a long-term investment approach. People get all excited about a short-term win or a long-term, or a short-term loss. It doesn't matter. It's random variance. Overall this year, I'm up over 157 units in all sports in 2024, and we still have a week and a half to go, or a week to go. Right now, get the rest of December free when you buy January. That's quite simple. But the best deal is the 1-year all-access for $1 a play with an instant $811 discount. No promo code needed. If you didn't win 157 units so far in 2024, don't make the same mistake in 2025. Get all of my best bets, every sport, every day, for just $1 a play right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Steve, I'm not one to talk here, brother. That picture of you on the website, 3 decades old?
You just don't recognize me without my Santa shirt. Prez, I can't believe we've gone 5 minutes without you commenting on this work of art.
So I'm glad you mentioned that Santa shirt. So I want to talk about that really quick. So Andrew McGinnis and I did Puck Time today with Don Buster, and Andrew came on in an ugly Christmas sweater, which is a thing. And I knew he was wearing an ugly Christmas sweater. The problem is, never ask a woman if she's pregnant. I did not know you were wearing an ugly Christmas button down.
No, it's hidden. It's hidden. Santa's a little bit below the nameplate.
I just thought you had really bad clothing taste. So I did
but you know better.
No, I don't.
Oh,
so
you do.
I didn't want to mention your shirt in case you were not pregnant. I'm turning a new leaf, Steve. I am not here to insult people or make fun of people. So I honestly thought you just had really shitty clothing taste, so I kept my mouth shut. Thank God it's an ugly Christmas shirt. There, did I handle that well?
No, because it's completely inaccurate. It's a fantastic Christmas shirt with Santa sideways. This is my new thing. I'm going to find my friend Candace. A friend of mine gave this to me last year after the holidays, so I didn't get it till like January. He says the first year I've been able to rock it. Coached 2 basketball games this past week with it on. We crushed it, so I'm undefeated. Undefeated in the NFL this past weekend with the shirt on. The free play videos, I gave you all 3 sides. I gave you in the college football playoffs. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State Cash with this shirt on. Actually, technically wrong. The Gold Sheet hoodie was on. You say I have bad taste. Gold Sheet hoodie, Wager Talk hoodies, Santa shirts. Man. Comment below. We read the comments. We reply back.
Steve Merril, everyone. I just got a text, Steve, from my daughter. Give me a dad moment. She's working during Christmas break And she's volunteering at the Rena Foundation, and it's a very, very rewarding job. She works with adults who can't function, and ass wiping is part of her job. She just texted me that she forgot how much she hates this job and she's going to quit. What would you say to her?
Do what you like in life. I'm not big on this whole character building thing, go dig ditches or whatever. I mean, you can learn a lot in life and still have fun at the same time. That sounds like a miserable job. Not sure why your daughter's doing that job. Is that like a lot of work she wants to be in? Is she on probation? Did she do something wrong? Have you cut her off?
So no, I did not cut her off. And she did initially want to be a social worker. After I explained the life of a social worker to her, she has ixnayed that, thank God. Basically, what I said is, not only do you want to be broke, because social workers are underpaid. I have deep respect for those people, but they are underpaid. But you want to sit and listen to everyone else's miserable life every day of your life? What are you, nuts? So no social work for her. She needs to get away from this job. I have no problem if she quits it. I love you, Steve Merril, and I love that shirt, and I'm thrilled that you're at WagerTalk. I would like to wish you nothing but the happiest of Merry Christmases. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
And happy Hanukkah for you. Someone told me that Hanukkah and Christmas coincide this year, Prez. Is that true? I don't follow the calendar that closely other than the sports betting calendar.
So Hanukkah and Christmas coincide every year. They just happen to start. It's day one.
Is that what it is, the start date?
Yeah, the day one. But listen, dude, they're both Jewish holidays, so I'm totally good with it. And like I said on Puck Time, I'm super appreciative that 2.3 billion people, celebrate the birth of the world's most famous Jew. He's my cousin. He's an ancestor. We're close. And I wish you nothing but the greatest holiday ever, my brother. Lots of love. Get out of here.
By the way,
Yep.
2 NFL games this Wednesday. Check out the free play videos. I'll be doing them today, both on Netflix. I have never lost an NFL free play video when the game's been on Netflix. And we're going to have both of them for this Wednesday.
Nor have I, Steve. Nor have I. We love having you on. Outstanding stuff. Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, man. I mean, look, Steve is a hard guy to follow, bro. I'm glad to see that you're dressed normally. Nice to have you with us.
Yeah, I just don't have an ugly sweater. I guess that's the advantage of being in South Florida, and it's 82 degrees. So instead, people have to look at my ugly body when I go sit at the pool and read.
Hey, Ralph, what are you reading?
Prez, I really like thriller novels, FBI, CIA, Baldacci.
Oh,
some Grisham, but I'm always in that genre when I do my reading.
okay. So, dude, let's stop right there because you're in my wheelhouse. That is what I like as well. I want to recommend the entire Jack Carr group of books. I think there's 7 of them. The main character is James Reese. It starts with The Terminal List. It is outstanding, amazing. If you've never read the Mitch Rapp novels, I think there's now 23 of them. They are the absolute pinnacle of that genre. And the best book I read in that entire space was I Am Pilgrim, which was a one-off by Terry Hayes. I highly, highly recommend I Am Pilgrim. Have you read any of those books?
I have read a couple of the rap books, not many. And, I'm sort of weird, Prez, because when I go to a pool, I do not want to read on a Kindle. I like having a paperback, laying in a chair,
too.
or standing in the water reading. So I sort of am, I have to, when I go to Target or Walmart, it's hard to find paperbacks anymore. So it's usually one of those places to get a trip to buy one, whatever they have in stock at the time.
Guys, if you're liking what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. Ralph, we are going to talk about the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We got Fresno playing Northern Illinois. It is +3. The total here is 41, which is a shockingly low total in college football, but probably accurate. How do you suggest we bet this game?
Yeah, Prez, there's only been 3 bowl games since 2013 with a total of 40 or less. I know this just climbed over 40 a little bit. They're 0-3 over under, but those were a couple of those Iowa teams 2 years ago with a total of 31.5 and 36.5. And yes, they stayed under. You know, this is a bowl of attrition. Obviously, the way we handicap bowls has completely changed now with the NIL. And what I look for is, you know, Fresno State loses a few more starters than Northern Illinois to the transfer portal. But the concerning thing is the clump of injuries. Northern's without their starting quarterback, starting wide receiver, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, and a safety. Those are players in the portal not playing. Fresno also without their starting quarterback, but they're without both wide receivers. They were without both defensive tackles. They're without both cornerbacks and without a running back. When you look at how these teams play, 2 inexperienced quarterbacks wanting to run the ball, I think it favors Northern Illinois, which runs the ball over 60% of the time. Fresno State is going to have to change their offense. They've passed the ball close to 60% of the time. And when I break down how teams did against their opponents this year versus what their opponents did against other opponents, when you look at their average, Fresno State only 121 on offense and 49 on defense. Northern Illinois, number 94 on offense. They were number 6 on defense, holding opponents to almost 100 yards per game under what they traditionally average. And Prez, you talked about the low total. Well, I'll say this. Northern Illinois was 5-2 over under as a double-digit favorite. They didn't mind running up the score as a big chalk, but they're 1-5 over under when they're not a double-digit favorite or a dog. And Fresno was 0-3 over under as a dog of 3 or more. I give Northern Illinois edges in quarterback, running back, wide receiver, O-line, and D-line. They have my edge in this game, and I also do lean with the crazy low total under the total.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. One of the best. You can find him at WagerTalk.com and a great, great human being as well. Ralph, quarterfinals in college football on, one of the games is on New Year's Eve, and the other 3 are on Christmas Day. Conceptually, Ralph, I mean, we're in uncharted territory, but obviously these are must-win games. We got Penn State at -11. Texas is at -14. And I was on Clemson, Ralph. I felt like it was a tough loss. They had 2 chances to cover at the end of that game, but I also felt like they could have won that game outright. Now Texas is -14. These are 2 crazy spreads. And then we have 2 basically pick'ems under field goals in the other 2 games. Does anything stand out to you off the bat? Any information you can pass our way in regards to the college football playoffs?
Well, Penn State opened 10.5. Now you see 10.5 and 11. The total opened up 54.5, and it's down to 52, 52.5. Some places is 53. But when I look at Penn State and Boise, what they did against winning teams this year, teams that finished the season with a winning record, Boise averaged only 67.3 plays per game. That was number 61. Penn State was number 103 in plays per game on offense, number 101 on plays per game on defense. With the pressure they get, I do lean under in the Fiesta Bowl, Penn State and Boise, and I do lean Penn State here. Again, it sort of shows the joke that Arizona State and Boise got first round byes. I think that changes where I think the division winners don't automatically get byes. I think the committee's likely embarrassed. They have Arizona State and Boise, 2 teams that had byes and now double-digit dogs in round 2. I will say this, I also think there's an advantage. Remember, this isn't a traditional 7-day week where one team is on a bye and one team has rest. There's 10 to 11 days off between all those teams that played. So I think playing actually helps these teams in week 2. No early opinion on Texas and Arizona State. Texas opened 13.5, went to 14. Total opened up 51.5, ticked up half a point. Ohio State and Oregon is the biggest line mover so far. Ohio State opened pick -1. They're clearly -2.5 now across the board. The total upticked from 52.5 to 53.5, even some 54s. And I know the question that I'm going to get asked, Prez, and now here's the data to quantify it. How hard is it to beat and cover against a team twice in a season? Well, if you play a team in college football twice in a season, if you lost the first game, you only won 44% of the second game straight up, but you covered 54.1%. So regardless of the line, a college football team in a rematch that lost the first game has covered 54.1%. If that team like Ohio State lost as a favorite and they're a favorite again, they've gone 15-3 straight up, and they've gone 58.8% against the spread. So Ohio State, remember, they were a 3.5 or 4-point favorite at Oregon in a game that had 8 lead changes, came down to the last play. So I think there's value in Ohio State with this line. And in the final game, Georgia opened up 1. They are actually 1.5, a total of 44. Notre Dame, again, one of the slowest paced teams against winning teams. They're number 115 in the country. Georgia was up and down. They played slow, but my early edge, do not count this as a play. I may change my mind when I do a deeper dive. I think I have issues with the Georgia front seven against that powerful Notre Dame rush attack. So that's the way I'll be looking at those games, and just a quick glance at those games. So again, the Fiesta Bowl, Penn State and Boise, is Tuesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. And then the other 3 games are 1, 5, and 8:45 p.m. Eastern, where we have the Mercedes-Benz Bowl from Atlanta, the Rose Bowl from Pasadena, and the nightcap, the Sugar Bowl from the Caesars Superdome.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. Guys, we still got Jesse Schule coming up. He's got some Monday Night Football prop bets for us, and Gianni The Greek will end the show with his Steam report. Ralph, let's turn our attention to some NBA. We got the Boston Celtics on the road as a -10.5 favorite. They're playing Orlando. The total here is 214. And look, I understand that low total, and I can't believe we're saying that's a low total, but it is in this day and age. This Orlando team struggles at times to get over the number of 100. I actually like Orlando team total under in this game. I'm curious how you're betting it.
That is hilarious, Prez. I have Orlando team total under 102. I am laughing because you would think I'm making that shit up, but honest to God,
the same shit happened with Steve Merril.
I was watching. That's why I was laughing and amazed. Now listen, how the Magic won their last game is absolutely amazing. They were without Franz Wagner. They were without Banchero. Mo Wagner is now hurt as well. And Jalen Suggs didn't play. They had their top 4 scorers out against the Miami Heat. And they outscored the Miami Heat 32-8 in the fourth quarter to win the game, their last game, without those 4 starters. When I went to the database, Prez, if teams are a dog of 7 or more and they trailed at halftime their prior game by 8 or more and they came back to win, so you had to exert a lot of energy in the second half, those teams are only 55-84, 39% against the spread. When you look at Orlando since November the 8th, they're 18-12 against the spread. That's a powerful number. But as a home favorite, they're 10-1 against the spread. And they're only 3-7 ATS as a dog. So a huge dog and favorite disparity with the Magic at home. And Boston's 6-7 ATS on the road. But look at some of their lines. They're paying the price, and they have not done well against the spread against these inflated numbers. On the road, they were a 10-point favorite, a 12-point favorite, a 17.5-point favorite. They were a 1-point dog at Cleveland, the best record in the NBA, and a 12-point and a 15.5-point favorite. So their last 6 games as a away favorite were all double-digit favorites. Suggs may be back in this game. The other 3 are still out. The way Boston plays defense, I think the way to go, as you said, Prez, and I will repeat, Orlando team total under 102.
Ralph Michaels. Ralph, thanks for joining us. And guys, if you enjoy listening to Ralph, you can buy him for all of January, $299, and you get the rest of his December for free. That works for everybody across the board. You can use that from me, Gianni, Steve Merril, Ralph Michaels, anybody. You buy the entire month of January, you get the rest of December free. Ralph, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, lots of love, my friend. Enjoy your book, and if you have not read I Am Pilgrim, read it immediately.
Happy holidays to all our viewers. I really appreciate each and every one of you. You're the reason we're here. So again, have a very safe and happy holiday season. If you're traveling, please keep an eye out for kids and keep your eye on the road.
There you go, Ralph Michaels, everyone. Guys, our next guest. Well, before we get into him, I just want to say I want to thank everybody who played my bets on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had such a horrible run for 10 days while I was away, and it wasn't because I was away. I actually get to do more work when I go away than I do when I'm at home because I don't have kids around to bother me, and I have 4 bloody children. So I had a horrible 10-day stretch, and yet you guys did not lose faith in me, and I'm so appreciative of it. Friday, we went 5-2. Saturday, we went 6-3. And Sunday, we went 5-3. We had an outstanding 3-day period. And in the middle of that, we had some absolutely horrible losses as well. My client should have had a massive Sunday. We were on Philadelphia Eagles, was my big play, and it lost. It was the right play by far. We got totally unlucky with a stupid injury from Jalen Hurts. And then on top of that, for some reason, Philadelphia decided to play prevent defense at the end of the game. We also had the over in the Buffalo game. And yesterday, I had 4 turnovers in the end zone on my overs. 2 of them in Cleveland, 1 of them in Buffalo, and 1 of them in the Seattle game. In the game last night, the Tampa Bay game. And through all of that, we had a winning week. Lots of love. I'm so appreciative. And I think I'm going to go on a big run. I feel like I'm seeing everything right. And finally, we're starting to get the calls in our favor and the luck in our favor. So please take advantage of what I think is going to be a really big week for me. I have 1 NHL play up tonight, 2 college basketball plays, and 2 NBA plays. I'm on a 6-0 and 8-1 college basketball run. I'm a profit on the season. I'm also on a 5-1 NHL run. So I really do think I'm going to run really hot over the next few days. So our next guest, Jesse Schule, the only man at WagerTalk that can bench press more than Derrick Henry. Is that actually right?
Not quite, Prez. I'm chasing Derrick Henry's record at the NFL Combine, which is 22 reps of 225, and I'm currently stuck on 20. I posted the video on my Twitter and Instagram and socials. 20 is a pretty good score for a guy my age that's never played in the NFL, but it's not quite Derrick Henry. But I believe if I keep eating steak and training, I can get to 22 and at least tie or pass Derrick Henry.
Is this to compensate for something in your life that isn't right? What might I ask is the point? When you do get to your 23rd set, are you going to do the Toyota jump? What mic drop? Like, why? Why are you doing? And look at this. It's not like I don't work out, brother. I mean, I'm an animal. Yeah. But why?
You don't ever get that feeling, Prez, when you go and have a really intense workout and you set when I go to the gym, I challenge myself each time. I want to set personal bests. I have goals. I want to get better, stronger. I'm a competitive guy. And you, even at the age of 49, you do 20 reps at 225, you can strut around the block like a peacock, like, the feeling. It's like a drug. I don't do drugs, but I don't know if they make a drug that's that good. The feeling that you get after doing something like that.
So firstly, I guarantee you do drugs because drugs are man-made medicine. And I'm sure you have taken insulin, penicillin, Tylenol, aspirin, Advil. I guarantee you've done something. I don't do drugs. I only do cannabis, which is a vegetable. It rhymes with lettuce. God gave it to us as a gift. You can get it on trees, and it is magnificent. As well, that is sick, Jesse. In all seriousness, dude, I can't bench 200, and I'm an animal. So, outstanding freaking work, bro. Let's get into some NFL prop bets. You've got 2 for us tonight. Give them both.
All right. Well, first off, I agree with everything you and Steve said about tonight's game. It's set to be an ugly one, particularly if you're a New Orleans Saints fan. So we're going to look at Juwan Johnson, who is currently the leading receiver, the active leading receiver for the New Orleans Saints. 36 catches and 375 yards on the season. That does not sound like the kind of numbers you're going to have from your active receiving yards leader. That's an average of just 27 yards per game in the 14 games he's played. But if you look at the New Orleans Saints receiving core, you got Chris Olave, Raheed Shaheed, and their leading receiver, the running back Alvin Kamara, out. Bubba Means and Taysom Hill, the tight end, also out. So with all those guys out of the lineup, there's just not that many healthy bodies left to throw passes to. And as we all expect, we expect New Orleans to be trailing big time very quickly in this game. So as much as you'd expect teams to lean on the run in the cold weather of Green Bay, they're not going to have much of a choice. They're going to have to attempt to throw the ball. And Juwan Johnson, the active leading receiver, his number for receiving yards, 29.5. That's a pretty low number. I believe he will go over that here tonight. I've got some stats on Alvin Kamara. So the Saints have attempted 392 running plays and 416 passing plays this season. That's a total of 808 plays. And Alvin Kamara was the target or the ball carrier in 317 of those plays. That's 40% of the Saints' offensive plays were to Alvin Kamara. So to say that they're going to miss him would be a massive understatement. Saints don't have much of a chance here, but we're going to go with Juwan Johnson over 29.5 receiving yards.
Jesse Schule, everybody is arguing about the definition of drugs now in the chat room. Somebody is like, mushrooms aren't a drug. Of course mushrooms aren't a drug. They're mushrooms. Tomatoes aren't drugs. Cucumbers aren't drugs. Onions aren't drugs. Then the response is, well, mushrooms make you hallucinate. That's not the definition of a drug. Cocaine doesn't make you hallucinate. Heroin doesn't make you hallucinate. Cannabis doesn't make you hallucinate. So, guys, for the record, drugs are created by humans. Pleasure is created by God. Jesse, is there anything else you'd like to give us?
Coffee and Cabernet Sauvignon are my drugs of choice, by the way.
They're not drugs!
If you look at coffee and Cabernet Sauvignon, they're both man-made, stimulant. No?
Coffee, okay, let's leave it at that. They're slightly man-made, but they're not drugs. Jesse, I love having you on the show, and I am fascinated by your cooking skills, bro. What else you got going?
Okay, well, Josh Jacobs, everybody's going to be looking at the Packers and thinking they're going to run the ball down the throat of this Saints team here. And I agree with that. But you look at the rushing yards total for Jacobs, it's over 90 yards. It's a pretty big number. So there's no value betting on Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown. There's no value on Josh Jacobs over rushing yards, in my opinion. So I'm looking at his receiving yards. The number is sitting at 15.5. He has 31 receptions for 302 yards on the season. That's an average of 22 yards per game. And in his last home game, it was bad weather against the Miami Dolphins. He caught 4 passes for 74 yards. In bad weather, in a cold weather game, I would expect them to lean on the run, but when they do pass, I would expect, instead of the long bombs, short passes, checkdowns to the running back. 15.5. I mean, he could get that in one catch. So I think that's the value if you want to back Josh Jacobs tonight.
Jesse Schule, everyone. Jesse, you have been outstanding in NBA. Is this something that you've done year after year after year? Is this just a sport you see really well?
Actually, yeah. At least for the last decade, really killing it with NBA. But it's a selective approach. I know some guys get disappointed by the fact that I'm not putting out 2 or 3 NBA games a day, but I sort of agree with Steve. Less is more, and I go with that approach, especially in the regular season. But I've been able to pick my spots and hit for a high percentage, 80% over the last year with 5% NBA plays. And I'm putting that on the line tonight with a 5% NBA total. You can get that at my page right now. And wish me luck, Prez.
Good luck, my brother, and lots of love. I really do want to visit you, and I want you to cook for me, and I'd love to work out with you. Jesse Schule, everybody, an outstanding handicapper and a great human being. Happy holidays, my friend. Gianni The Greek joining us. And Gianni, anything you want to add so far to the show? Because I'll tell you one thing. You're the best drug that was ever made.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing. And it's one of those days, Prez, that's almost like a day off. I talked about it the other day that this UTSA bet, they just keep betting it as if the other team doesn't even want to be there. Like they started laying -6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. I think it was at 10 when I was on the show last and said they're continuing to bet it and they're not even taking anything back. Usually when you lay 6.5 and you go through a key number of 7 and even 10, you're going to get some take back just because you have such a huge middle. They weren't doing that. Like the same account that could do it, where I don't have a problem with them doing it, wasn't doing it. So I was not surprised to see this line continue to climb. And unfortunately, I couldn't bet it. You know what I mean? You did see some take back at 14.5, which makes sense. But it was just an ugly game. And then the next game, Fresno, Northern Illinois, it's just good 2A action. The only thing I can share on that is early, when this first came out, and the groups that try to get out ahead of numbers, because again, it's a zero-sum game, they did bet the under in this game. And that's why it went down to 39.5 from the opener. I was part of that group that did bet the under. Since then, though, we've seen over money come in. In fact, it moved from 40.5 today up to 41.5. So definitely there's another group out there that disagrees with us on the under. I don't know if there's any kind of weather related out there that maybe is better than what was expected since it's in Boise. But for whatever reason, that line has come back. So if you do agree with the group that I work with on the under, you can get the same number we did. We went under 41.5. And that's where the number sits there. That's what's going on real quickly in college football, Prez. In college basketball, I don't think there's anything today that I've gotten. The only thing I got was an NBA first half total, so I don't want to forget that. It's game 15-31, under 113.5, Utah-Cleveland, under 113.5, Utah-Cleveland. That's it. I've been up all morning. That's pretty much all I've bet, other than, of course, the Monday Night Football game that I absolutely loved myself. And yeah, then some bowl games ahead, Prez. So it's going to be a nice couple days. But I think it's the day after, like Christmas and on, is that week is, if you're a sports bettor, it's those 10 days, man, that you're going to live for with the NFL, the bowl games, the playoffs. Like that's what I'm really getting excited for.
So I want to talk about that for a sec, Gianni. Firstly, I just want to mention I was in WagerTalk last call yesterday. I was in the chat room. You did such an outstanding job on that show. What an incredible show. You and Kelly are so good on that show together. What I wanted to talk about is, the next 10 days are spectacular. But what I want to say, and I'd like to hear what you think is, the next 10 days are spectacular in college basketball. This is the window, right? Freaking the day the bowl games start, the day They start. I have not lost a college basketball game since the bowl season begun. 6-0. This is the window for college hoops right now, right here, every year.
I could not agree more. Dude, I could not agree more. Prez, I've been harping that. And I said, I even put it out. I said, dude, I'm going to be top 3 when these 7 days are over, at least in ROI, because, you know, my win percentage, I get volume, so I'm not going to have as high. You're going to be 100%. You have a good shot at being 60, 70, 80% because you're going smaller volume. But that's why I've got a 23% ROI in college basketball NBA over the last 7 days, exactly like you said, because everybody's focused on college football and NFL. We even had Dave Mason on here talk about that exact thing. And that's probably the biggest, one of the biggest offshore sports books that not only books public money, but they book sharp money, Prez. I have accounts with them. They've never cut me off. They've never limited me. They'll take the same limit for me that they'll take from anybody else. That's why I love that place. And I love Dave Mason, what he's doing over there. And he came on here and he said, dude, I'm not even paying attention to college football, college basketball, or NBA. Like they were asking him for any information from NBA and college basketball. And he straight out said, dude, no one's even paying attention to that stuff.
So Gianni, listen, it's a good window to bet NBA, but it's not a great window to bet NBA.
No.
Frankly, it's never a great window to bet NBA. NBA is pretty standard from start to finish.
Agree.
College basketball specifically, and last night we had St. Louis plus 10.5. I took them. They were winning with 1 second left in the game. The other team hit a 2-pointer and won 73-72. And that should demonstrate the line. They're way off. I cannot stress enough how important it is to bet college basketball from now, literally until the NFL playoffs begin. That corridor is spectacular to bet.
It is.
Gianni,
and there's a bunch of tournaments, too, that they're getting into, so it's exciting.
Yeah, Johnny, before I let you go, and I'm so appreciative that you come on every day with us, we got 4 college football playoff games starting eminently in the next 10 days, in the next 7 days, actually. If somebody's going to bet Ohio State at minus 2.5, do they need to bet it now? If somebody is going to bet Texas at minus 14, is there going to be a 14.5? Is Penn State going to drop below 10? You know, tell us what you're hearing out there to position ourselves to find the best value for those 4 games.
I don't think you need to be in a rush with Ohio State. Here's why. They're the sharp side, and the reason for that is simple. I talked about it throughout the entire season, and I was getting bashed for it because Oregon beat Ohio State earlier in the season. Someone actually, that I respect, came at me and said, dude, don't you even watch football? You didn't see that Oregon beat them? Of course I saw that Oregon beat them, but what I saw was that with 4 minutes left, the live betting line had Ohio State as a 2-1 favorite to win that game. So with 4 minutes left, they were 67% to win that game. They just happened to lose. That was randomness. They went into Oregon as 3-point favorites, the toughest place to play. So it shows you how much better Ohio State actually was than that Oregon team, at least on paper. But it's the randomness of one game. That's what happened. And Oregon beats them. But as soon as they brought out Ohio State low, that message was sent loud and clear. We believe Ohio State's better. They came in and they bet Ohio State, but the public hasn't spoken yet. And just like when it comes to NFL playoffs and Super Bowl, that money will overwhelm the books. It's 10x, 20x what they're getting from sharp bettors. And rest assured, they will be on Oregon. They're going to bet Oregon. They're going to bet Oregon money line. Ohio State is not one of those teams they love. In fact, they were fading Ohio State earlier this week. So they got stung with this Ohio State team. They do not like them. That's why you will get value on Ohio State. Penn State, I think they're going to continue to get bet. I actually have a future on Ohio State and a future on Penn State. I should have given that Penn State drivers because at plus 550, I thought it was just too good to be true. But we took them the other day, so I like that. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Right now, the guys that I respect the most have Notre Dame as the best team in college football. They have Notre Dame, believe it or not, at about a half point to a point better than Ohio State on a neutral field. Those two teams at least power rating wise, are tops, with Oregon behind them by about a point. Oregon, Texas, Penn State, they're all within a point of each other. Those teams are really close, and believe it or not, backed by Georgia. But the power ratings that I respect have Notre Dame and Ohio State about 5.5 points better than Georgia. So do the math, figure some stuff out. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Again, the lines are going to move significantly between now and then, because more money is going to get bet and more public money is going to get bet. But that's the one game that sticks out to me the most because it's around that key number. And I think if you like Ohio State, you could wait and probably get a better number. If you like Oregon, will you get 3? Probably not. Probably not. I think you take the 2.5 or you take the money line now.
Gianni The Greek joining us. He'll be joining us every day. One of our listeners wanted to know if there's a show tomorrow and Wednesday. There is a show tomorrow, but not on Wednesday. Gianni, stay with me for a second, because I had a question. People want to hear some poker strategy, and I'm going to give out some right now, and maybe you want to add to it, but we'll be super quick. It's basically how to play kings when an ace hits the board, and it's a question that I get more often than not. So before I get into it, I want to say many variables are important here. What is the stack size of your opponent? What kind of player is he? Is he aggressive? Is he not aggressive? What position are you in? So all of that has to be taken into account. But let me run down how to play kings when an ace hits the board at 100 miles an hour. Now, we obviously assume that we are going to raise pre-flop. So we are going to raise pre-flop somewhere around 3x. We are going to assume that the person calls us. If he raises, I'm going to shove. But because we're playing post-flop strategy, we are assuming the person calls. So we raise with kings, the person calls. What can he call with? That person is going to call with a pair, 8s, 7s, 2s, 10s, or ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack. Now, if that person has half of your chip stack, it's likely that if he has ace, king, he shoves on that spot. So half of the chip stack, I'm going to take ace, king out of the equation. So now I'm putting him on ace, queen, or lower, or a pair. The flop hits an ace on the board. If you are in position, if you are first to act, you bet. Bet right there. Straight continuation bet. We assume that that person will call. He's got ace, jack. If he has a pair, he folds, you win the hand. If he calls with ace, jack, not a problem. The next card comes. You're out of position. I want you to check. That person then sees, okay, he's weak. He makes a bet. I want you to raise. Right there. Raise it. Raise it up. He's got half your chip stack. Shove on him. Shove those kings on him, even with an ace on board. Why? Because if he had a pair of aces, he would have raised you in the first place. If he had ace king, he would have raised you in the first place. He has ace queen or ace jack, and he didn't raise, which means he is playing careful and scared. If he ain't going to raise you with ace queen at the beginning of the hand, he ain't going to call your shove after the flop or the turn. You own that man. If you walk into a set, you walk into a set, so be it. You agree right there?
The question I have on the continuation bet, if he comes over the top, do you throw him away?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I fold there. However,
that makes sense.
However, if you are in position, so playing second, he will check to you. You will make your continuation bet with kings. He will call with ace queen, let's say. The next card comes. He's going to want you to bet again. So he will check. You need to check there.
Check back.
Do not bet.
Yes.
The river comes, and now he sees you're weak. You checked on the turn. He now makes a bet. Shove. Shove it on him right there.
Make him have to make the decision. Yeah.
Never be afraid of an ace on the board if you have kings, because you know he ain't got a set of aces, and you know it's unlikely he has ace king. you could bet him off of that hand. That's how you play kings when an ace hits the board.
I love it.
Go ahead.
And with that delay, I'm going to share 2 college basketball totals that just came in. 864 under right now. So if you're looking at your screen, it's probably changing. 864 under 140, Cal State Bakersfield, North Dakota State. 884 over 142.5, Seattle versus Washington. And then a bowl game. Just bet a bowl game, 248, Miami, Florida. That's 248, Miami, Florida over Iowa State. That's on Friday's bowl games, I believe. So that just came in now. Miami on the money line against Iowa State. So follow, fade, ignore. I haven't dug in, haven't released the subscribers, but it just came in as I'm doing this. So love to share it with you guys. We will be back tomorrow, like Prez said. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know whether we were doing it on Christmas Day or not. Now I know we're not. But then I'll be back the day after. Again, I'm so excited for what's ahead. You can feel it, right, Prez? You can feel it.
Brother, I'm so happy that me and you get to do this daily. It's so great. Guys, if you got more questions, you got blackjack questions, roulette questions, craps, poker, you want to know about Baccarat, Pie Gal, Caribbean Stud, Gianni and I have you covered. So ask those questions. We'll take care of the answers. And listen, there's so much more I want to discuss with those aces and kings. You know, if the guy has double your chip stack, play it differently. If he has half your chip stack, there's so much there. But don't be afraid.
Passion. I love your passion with poker. How you think it through. Next level thinking. I love watching it.
Dude, you're the best. Thanks for being here. Guys, thank you for watching this show. We do have a great show lined up for you all tomorrow. We will have Brian Leonard, Teddy Covers, Andy Lang, and Gianni the Greek. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy this week. Win as much as you can. Lots of love. We'll see you tomorrow.